So I want to thank you for joining us here today, and we're honored to have Assistant Chief Joe Chavez of the Assistant Chief of the Southern Bureau of the California Department of Insurance, and Captain Victoria Martinez, who is from the Orange Regional Office of the California Department of Insurance. And our partners at the California Department of Insurance have been diligently working with us, side by side, in this shared fight against insurance fraud. Assistant Chief Chavez speaks Spanish, and so at the end of these formal comments, he'll be available for interviews in Spanish if need be. You speak Spanish? I think we're going to stick with Assistant Chief Chavez. So the Orange County District Attorney's Office charged 10 attorneys and 6 cappers with multiple felonies for their participation in a massive multi-million-dollar workers' compensation insurance fraud factory. Imagine a fraud factory where the masterminds not only own the factory, but also own all of the sources where the equipment and the parts come from as well. They do everything. The individuals behind this complex scheme targeted and exploited members of the Spanish-speaking community, using them like ATM machines. What we're announcing here today is phase 1 of a 3-year insurance fraud investigation. Carlos Arguello III and Edgar Gonzalez are the alleged masterminds of this fraud factory. Arguello and Gonzalez are accused of operating several businesses, all with the intention of maximizing their profits through the procurement of clients and patients for attorneys and medical providers, and that is an illegal practice known as capping. Here's what we charge in the conspiracy complaint. First, recruiting attorneys and requiring them to use the various service businesses owned by Arguello and Gonzalez and their associates. And second, obtaining patients and billing their carriers for services that were neither needed nor rendered. Then the cappers sprayed various types of marketing materials, targeting primarily for Hispanic clients. They handed out cards and flyers, leaving materials on vehicles and businesses, swap meets, the U.S.-Mexico border, and advertising in Spanish language publications. You can see, I think we have examples, but you can see what these flyers look like, and they just went all over in the Hispanic community. So each of the flyers offers a what they call free consultation, telling people to call right now for more information. So these clients would use the 800 number on the flyers, and they would call a call center that was located in El Salvador. The callers would be signed up with a lawyer who's now one of the defendants. Within 24 to 48 hours of the initial contact, the cappers are accused of showing up at the client's home and pressuring them to sign a blanket intake packet, numerous blank documents, and blank attorney retainer agreements before ever even speaking to or seeing an attorney. All the completed victim's paperwork was then sent to the cappers for processing and then forwarded to attorneys and doctors who were involved in the scheme. The clients were scheduled for medical appointments with doctors who were paying for the capped patients. So many visits were scheduled for these patients that it almost became a full-time job for them. Finally, the attorneys who are pictured on the screen, are accused of paying cappers for what was termed joint advertising, which is really a front for the delivery of an agreed-upon number of retained clients per month. In addition, the attorneys were paid $1,500 per deposition and between 9 and 20% of each settlement of each case. Arguello faces a maximum sentence of 29 years and 8 months, Gonzalez faces up to 20 years and 8 months. The maximum exposure for the attorneys varies based on their charges, excuse me, but ranges from 7 years, 4 months to up to 25 years and 8 months. We need to be sure that there's money in the workers' compensation insurance fund. We need to make sure of that, so the people who are legitimately injured, when that happens, there's money there to pay for those legitimate injuries. This type of fraud factory drives up the cost and drives businesses out of California. People who live in poor neighborhoods should not be exploited. They shouldn't be used as ATM machines. They shouldn't be victimized by unscrupulous lawyers and doctors. So this will conclude. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to say. This is I don't think it's clear from these comments. This is really a massive fraud scheme, and the amount of loss to the insurance companies, we've estimated now, it's conservative estimate is about $300 million. And we're dealing with well over 3,000 client patients. So this concludes our prepared statements, our prepared comments. As I mentioned, this is the first phase of the charges that are going to be filed in this case, or that are being filed, and will be also more in the future. Because this is an ongoing investigation with more charges coming, the District Attorney's Office and the Department of Insurance are really unable to provide more details at this time. But we do look forward to doing so soon.